make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At Samvia, we believe our smile is our business card and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the Samvia community.
Happiest of Tuesday to you all. Please pop into the chat where you're watching from. We are so excited to jump into education today, and we've got a lot more coming. First, just wanted to also bring to your attention, we have some great promotions going on the website. If you're looking for shears or blow dryer, we've got a great deal for you. Head to samvia.com for that. And of course, we have more education coming this week for you. Today, we've got Transformation Tuesday with Sammy. We're going to jump into that in just a moment. Tomorrow, August 18th, we've got Instagram Live with Lindsay Olson. She's going to be sharing some laced up short styling. And then that same day, back here at the YouTube and Facebook channel, want to miss that one. And on the 19th, we have day to night upstyling. That's back over on the IG Instagram, and that's with Twyla Jane. So great education this week. Don't forget, if you ever miss anything, you can always come right back here to the YouTube and Facebook channels to get your rewatch on. So today, of course, we've got the man, Sam. You all know him. You all love him. He needs no introduction. But today we've got great education coming up for you. So let's bring on Mr. Sam Bia. Everyone pop in. Hey, Sammy, into the chat. What's up, Sam?
What's up, AC? How are you, brother? It's great to see you. I love your background. Did you do that painting or did Michelle do that? Or did Melina do that?
Who do you think?
I think Michelle did that.
Yeah, you got it.
I love it. That's actually beautiful back there. And you could, that's actually for purchase, isn't it?
She does have stuff very similar to this. This is my own special one. You can't buy this one, but you can buy similar stuff. Yes.
All right, brother. Well, listen, I'm excited about today because it's all about short hair, and I've got some little tricks and tips that I just want to share with short hair. I mean, I think short hair is awesome. It's basically on trend. A lot of people have been cutting your hair. Thanks for what you do, Andrew. Pop in anytime, brother, and make sure I get some questions answered for everybody. Hi, India. Hi, Anuha from India. Colleen, what's up? Colleen Bowman. Kathy Anderson, glad you're on board. Sonia, nice to see you, my dear. And I believe we have a lot of people coming in from Europe also. So let's get started, guys. First thing is short hair. I think short hair is really something that's happening, yet is it meant for everybody? I think one of the most things that we need to take into consideration is face shape. Remember, hair is the fabric, and then the canvas is face shape and head shape. One of the most important things that I tend to forget when I'm working with short hair is the shape of the head. So example being, if you take a look at my shape of the head, guys, and I don't want you to laugh, but take a look at look how flat my head shape is. Do you see that? I told my mom, God, Mom, I'm so flat back here. I said, you never turned me over. And she said, oh, you were so cute. I just didn't want to turn you over. But you have to really understand the shape of the head because you adjust your finger angle accordingly to the shape of the head, depending upon the end result you want to achieve. So where do I want to start? I think one of the most important things is understand the canvas, understand the shape of the head. So before I cut some hair, let's go to what's really important in terms of when we talk about head shape, what's important to remember. Okay, I want everybody in the chat box to put in there where you're from. Where are you from? Hola, Delia Camacho. Hola, ¿cómo estás? We bet you were a cute baby, Sam. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you for that. Rosie, hi, Rosie. Hope you're doing well. All right, shape of the head. First thing I want to do is I want to discover the top. One of the most easiest ways is to divide that top area. Section that off, that top and crown area, get that out of the way and start working underneath. I find that's easy when I approach short hair. Okay. And then I'm gonna give you some scenarios in regards to that. So let's go first thing. How do you determine the top? I'm going to take a white comb on this black base here so that you can really see. What you want to do is take the comb and look where I'm placing the comb. Give you a three-quarter view. I'm placing it right where that hairline is. So now if the hairline's way down here, that comb would be placed there. Then watch what I'm going to do. Watch me give you a full view here. I'm going to take 3 fingers. I'm going to place them flat. Notice how I'm not taking 4. If I take 4, I'm going to have a natural common sense to push that top. Now I'm changing the head. What are you looking for? I'm looking for when this vertical transition, when it transitions to horizontal. So I'm looking for that horizontal transition, meaning where does the head actually start to change direction? I need to know that. See that? I need to know where it starts to change direction. And that would be right here. So right there, this particular case, I'm going to put a T-pin, but that's where I would place my comb and start to draw my section off. So here, what we're going to do today is I'm going to take a pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to wrap a pipe cleaner around that. And then watch how I continue to find that shape of the head. Now, as I continue to draw that line, okay, I come to the back crown area, and this is where, how high does this line go? Does it go up? Does it go down? So we have to imagine that. So what I want you to do is I want you to take the comb, and I want you to find that flat area of the crown, just that back area of the crown. Now, see where that comb comes off? That's exactly where I'm going to draw that line. So I'm going to take a T-pin here. I want to just give you a visual of why it's important, guys, to understand this sectioning and why it's important to understand the shape of the head. So let's just take a look at a visual here before we go in and we start to actually cut some hair. Okay, a little bit high there. Just want to drop down a little bit. Okay, if you're liking the visual, just put in there, like the visual, Sam, or just put like. Okay, I just think it's a great way to see the shape of the head, guys, in regards to that. Thank you, AC. Now watch this, okay? Take a look how this comb now, when I take that comb, look how that comb comes off. See how it's coming off at that line, that red line? And now as I go around, notice how the comb continues to come off. See that? It comes off right at that line. So that's telling me that's where this head is changing position, and that's where I want to draw this line. Sam, why is that so important? Because it's going to make it easy for me to cut to and understand where I need to adjust finger angle in terms of head shape, where I need to adjust it, so that when I'm done, I'm not going back there and doing so much corrective work. Okay, so now it looks, Linda Van Natter, very important, it seems. That's why my hair looks terrible. Well, I think it may not look terrible, but I want you to check the balance of it. One side might have more volume than the other, and maybe that's just the shape of your head or the angle that was cut. There, look how I place it right in that hairline, where that bottom hairline is. 3 fingers, look at 3 fingers. Okay, now watch me slide my hand where it comes off. That's where I'm going to place that comb, and I'll draw that line back. Okay, so now I'm going to come through. And then I want to show you a real interesting that Andrew came up with, and that's the shape of the head as it relates to the back area. And it's really what we call the corner of the head and then the side of the head. I think a lot of times what happens is on that side of the head, we tend to go in and we lose our, hold on guys, I'm grabbing my scrub shear here. Okay, what happens is we tend to lose shape, and it's because we lose focus of the shape of the head. Now that's that top area. Now watch the nape area. I did the nape area. Look where I placed the comb, right at the base of that hairline. And then when I rock it up, look where it comes off, right at that line. So this could actually be just a tad higher. Okay. So now you can get an idea in terms of that. Now the next thing I need to know is okay, where do I separate front to back? Let's take the comb. Place the comb here. I want your fingers right over that ear. Look at the ear. See that? Now look, when I take you to the back, where it comes off at the back, right here, that's where I'm going to place my comb and draw my line down. Now, in most cases, you're going to find, wow, Sam, that is so far back. I'm usually right over the ear. What Andrew and I have discovered is by going in and understanding, extending this side area back, if you will, what we've discovered is it really enables us to take care of a problematic area. And that's that hole that we all seem to get right behind the ear. Okay, so now look at where that is. So look how I'm filling in hair here. This is that vertical transition in this back. This is where it happens in regards to how the head turns. Okay, so now let's take this off. Is this helping you out, guys? Now you're going to see why I'm doing this as I'm going through. Now I want to find the opposite side. All right, Rosie, glad you're liking the diagram. All right, this is important. I'm going to let you take a screenshot of this too. Once again, let's go on the side. Take the comb, place your fingers directly over the ear. That's going to set you up in terms of right where this line, right back here, right where my finger comes off, right there. That's where I would place my comb and then draw my line down. Now, what's interesting is this is feeding more hair, if you will, into this front side area, so that I'm not getting any of those holes that I normally might get. For example, in my layered bobs, in my graduated bobs. I think that's important. Okay, so now this is where that goes, there. All right, so now I just wanted to give you a visual and walk you through that, guys, in regards to the shape of the head. Then there's things that happen inside of here. You're going to find there's a corner that happens here. So now if this is the center part here and I place the comb here, you can see the comb comes off right here. That's a corner area. Okay, so I'm going to place a pin here. That's another change now. You'll see what I mean. Let's find another one. So from that center part there, right from that center part, if I place that comb right there, that's where it comes off. I'm going to take another area here. Now, what are you finding here? This is vertical transition now, where I'm getting these little corners where that head actually changes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a center part. Let's go center part first. Okay, so there's my center part. Just so you get an idea, guys, once again, that's center. All right. How cool is this, guys? Now, this would be a great way to teach your associates so that they understand the shape of the head. Actually take them through this exercise and make them pin the shape of the head in, these areas in, so they understand where the changes of direction happen when you're working. So now this is that top one here, that first one, okay, right there. And I'm bringing that down. Now watch, I'm going to show you with my comb again how these are those changes of direction. These are those flat areas. Now this one here is what we refer to as a corner of the head. This is that left corner of the head. Okay. Really important, guys, to understand now. If I understand the shape of the head when I go in to cut things shorter, then it's going to have much more proportion, much more balance, and a stronger silhouette. I think that issue that happens is too many times we become too mechanical when we're cutting, and we cut to the contour of the head, but we're not aware of maybe some problematic areas in terms of how the shape of the head adjusts. Okay. Questions, Andrew? Any questions?
I mean, doesn't this take a lot of time to part off the head like this, Sam?
Well, you have a choice. You cannot choose to part it off like this. And now I don't part off like this because now this is ingrained. Once I do it over and over, Andrew, I know exactly where I'm at. I know exactly where I'm at. But I did it over and over. So does it take time? Yes. Yet, what does it help with, Sam? It eliminates all of the correction time at the end, going back and tweaking or fixing the haircut or over texturizing the haircut. So this is awesome, guys, in regards to how this works in regards to that. So now I've got the top. Look at this is that front side. Look how wide that is from the front to the back. Normally you find that over the ear. Andrew and I believe you need to go further back in regards to that. Then from here, then you have what's called the back area. In this back area, there's 4 rectangle areas inside of that. Watch. If I take this is what's cool about understanding this, guys. If I take this, I give you this head back. Okay. Okay, watch. Okay, there it is there. Okay. Now, watch. If I place my comb here, isn't that interesting? The comb comes off there and there. Isn't that interesting? Now, if I take my comb, place it here, it comes off at that point and off at that point. You see where I'm going here, guys? So, boom, I put my hand there. I put my hand there. So this concept is telling me when to turn my hand. Are you with me on this? If you are, just type a Y in there. Okay. Okay. Sonia, sir, can we make the same technique on a zigzag scalp? You can go in and you can zigzag any sections. What I'm teaching you now, Sonia, is understanding the changes of direction that take place in the shape of the head. Look how it comes off there. Look how the comb comes off there. So see, this tells me when to turn my head instead of me going like this. Cut, 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 think I better turn. Cut, 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 think I better turn. Cut, 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 think I better turn. Now what happens is this will grow out, but you're getting longer lengths in some areas than in other areas. If you're with me so far, just type an S. Type an S if you're with me so far, guys. All right. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply this concept now to short hair. Okay, so here's where I'm going to take this short. Okay, now I've sectioned up my top area there. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some helpful tips to help you save time. What I want to do is I want to go in and create a short layered haircut, somewhat of a pixie, but not quite. Call it whatever you want. All right, let's just cut short hair. Now watch where I'm at, that top of the ear. This is going to be that nape area. Okay, so right now I'm going to forget about the side area until I get there. So see, Andrew, I'm not going through and dividing all this off just like I just did, but I'm aware of the top, the side, and that back area, all as one half circle going around the head and the nape area. I hope that makes sense. But what's most important, why do we section? We section for control. So now you say to me, well, Sam, I don't need to section. Great, don't section. But what I'm going to suggest that you do is that you understand where you are on the head. So that's what I mean by sometimes I don't do all this sectioning. I know exactly where I'm at. That comes from experience. Okay, let's take all of this hair for now. I don't need to section off that side yet, not there. Okay, and let's eliminate this hair. Okay, now when I work with this, I've already shampooed and applied my conditioner. Okay, now this is long. So why go in here, little sections, and work and just take all this? You're working with so much excess length. Let's get the excess length off. I'm going to work with a 5.75, and in some cases, I'm going to go to a 5.5. I'm going to work with a Signature Series shear. And the reason I'm working with a short shear is because I want to go in and I want to have control of the degree of shortness. And I find when the blade is shorter, I have a lot more control than the blade being longer. Okay. First thing I'm going to do, watch from a profile view. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move these guys out of the way. We'll come back to them. All right, so I'll move those girls out of the way. I want to keep this guy here because I'm going to refer back to that. Okay. And then I want to give you a nice clean back. Okay, there we go. All right. And then I'll draw this out for you. All right, first we're going to take a vertical section down that center. Let's eliminate this, but eliminate this in a very disciplined way. I'm going to elevate this up. And I know, how short do you take this, Sam? What's important to understand about short hair is the shorter we take something, then what happens is the more it's going to respond to the growth pattern. So you have to make sure that what you're doing is you're aware of this length that you're going to cut. Now, if you're not aware of that length that you're going to cut and you cut it too short, growth pattern takes over and it comes out. So the shorter you take something, the more growth pattern takes over. The longer we leave something, the more weight and gravity take over. Okay, that's important to realize. So how do you know how short to take that, Sam? First, let's give it just a small spritz for control. Okay, working with this haircut wet to damp just for control. All right, I take a section. Look, I just skimmed the top section off of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down, I'm going to push up. So what I'm doing is I'm actually reading, where do I get some bend out of that? So I look and see, where is the bend? What I want to do is I want to cut to that bend. So if I see that bend, follow me here, right here. Okay. So when I push this up, it's going to do this. So if I cut that here, that's too short. That's going to stick out. Okay. See where this bends? So I want this, as it starts to bend, I could probably go somewhere right there. So I get a little bit of a bevel. I'll make that darker so you can see. Right there is probably where I'd cut that. So I get a little bit of bevel, a little bit of bend. So if you want, take a section, push up, Andrew. See, I just push up where it bends. At that bend, I'm going to take it right there. There's my guide. Now watch how I'll come up. And look how I'm looking for this guide right here. I can see it. Okay. And I can see that guide, that little piece of hair. There's a little piece of hair there as a guide. Okay. I bring that up and now I can cut. Okay. And notice how I'm going to cut this to the shape of the head. Notice how my hand just turned. So how do you determine that, Sam? Place your comb to the shape of the head, and that will tell you where you need to go. Okay, so watch as I work. Okay, I'm going to give you a top view now. Watch, I'll give you a top view. Okay. Now watch what I mean. So I'm here, 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 here. Why? Flat, 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 flat. So now that will give me a round shape. Okay. That will give me this round shape. So what I'm going to do is cut a series of straight lines, but I'm cutting them to the shape of the head. Okay, so now here we go. Here. See how I lift up? Okay, there's the shape there. I feel it. Cut to that. Okay, pause, readjust, move my hand over, shape of the head. Notice how, look at that turn. You can see that just that little corner. That's where I was. Put the comb. Now look where I am. See how I'm turning? And I'm elevating this vertically above a horizontal line. So look at me, elevate, elevate, elevate. See that? So that's above a horizontal line. Why? So it falls softer. I want that to fall soft. So what I'm trying to share with you here is look how I achieved this, and I took away this vertical. Now I go after it vertically. So now I can come in and I can say, okay, I've got the maximum length off. Now let's go after this in a vertical fashion. So now there's my guide. There's the shape of the head. Look at the shape of the head. That matches that angle. Okay. So really important. See how I got all that length off? And now I'm just coming to the shape of the head. Okay. Now I come through my next section. And I'm going to work slightly on a diagonal. I subdivide that vertically. By subdividing vertically, it's going to give me a guideline on top and bottom. So watch what I mean. I go diagonal, then I come back vertical. That gives me a guy on the top and a guy at the bottom. So now watch where I'm going to go. Okay, I'm going to go diagonal. See that? Then I come back in vertical. Now when I lift this, I've got a guide at that bottom and a guide at the top. And now I just follow and connect those dots. Okay, again, I can go vertical on this diagonal. So what I'm trying to say with you, I'm not taking a slice and following the slice. I like to subdivide that slice. There's that diagonal. Now watch me go vertical first. Okay. Now come back in. Look at the comb, how I'm holding the comb from the top. See that? That gives me really good body mechanics, being able to get into this section. Okay. Now watch the silhouette of that section. Look at the silhouette of that section. See how that's developing. Okay. I'll take you just a tad higher. Okay, so you can see that. All right, come back over. Now I'm going to come back the opposite way. So I go diagonal this way. Okay, and by going diagonal that way, what happens is this is going to give me that guide here. There's a guide there. That's from coming diagonal this way. And now I got my guide at the top. Now connect these two dots. Okay. Now I come back in diagonal. Watch me go vertical, pick, and comb. Okay, notice my combing. My combing angle is not on this side. It's on this side. And that pushes me up to where that hair is at. Okay. If my last combing angle is on top, I guarantee you what's going to happen is we're going to have a natural common tendency to drop our elevation. Okay. Now I can come in and see and connect these two dots there, get this corner off. And now we cross-check. Now watch how I'm cross-checking, looking to see if there's any little corners I need to take off. Come back in, cross-checking. Okay, now I hope that what you learned here is the quick way to elevate this up and take off existing length, depending upon how short you're going to go. Sam, could I do this same technique the way that you approach this back nape area? Could I do this but leave it longer? Sure you could. I could have left this maybe 1 inch to 2 inches longer. okay, and still effective. What I hope that you also get is the subdividing of these sections from a diagonal to a vertical. That gives you a really good balanced guide from one side to the opposite side. All right, if you learned something there, just put L. Andrew, if there's any questions, go ahead and pop up. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is just come in and adjust my length. So notice I did not adjust my length until after I went and graduated the hair. Okay. All right, let's give you a nice little soft spin here so you can just see how I created that. Okay, and that's just working to the round of the head. Now I'm going to go into the side area. Okay, and in the side area, basically same thing. Okay, so I'm going to determine this. I'm going to go diagonal. Watch how I'll take diagonal back sections, but I'll subdivide these. So follow me to the board here. Here's what we did. Okay. How we doing, AC? We okay, brother?
Doing great. Just sipping my coffee from my Samvia mug, you know, and just staying awake.
All right. So I did this first. I took that up, okay, and I just cut all of that off. Great way to get off the length. This top piece right here, that's what's going to give you your guide. And remember, I showed you how to read that, okay? Once you got that, let's go to this side and show you what we did. Now come in diagonal, and I go diagonal, but then I subdivide these. Take a look at in red. I subdivide these in vertical. Okay, so that way I get the guide on top and a guide underneath. Next vertical, guide on top, guide underneath. But you're going to do that to one diagonal, two verticals, boom. Next diagonal, vertical, vertical, boom. And you're good to go. Great way also, guys, to go in. Here's my elevation. My elevation, each time I cut hair, was horizontal. Okay, and I cut to the shape of the head. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this top area here. Okay, that is our horseshoe. We're going to leave this isolated. Okay, this is the nape area that we just cut. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in that top, in this front area. Okay, I'm going to take a diagonal back section, diagonal back sections. But then again, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work vertical. So watch again. This time I'll give it to you in blue. So once I have that, then I subdivide this. And I cut that. Then I subdivide this. And I cut that. Then I go to my next section. And I subdivide that vertically, continue to work. My over direction will be straight out from the head, straight out from the head, straight out from the head, straight out from the head. So I'm not going to over direct this to each previous section. Okay? Questions? Concerns? Comments? Suggestions? Okay, thank you, Rosie. Okay. Oh, Anna, high fade for men. Okay. I'm not a barber. Okay. So I'm just going to let you know that. Scissor over comb, I can work, but high fades, low fades, I'm going to leave that to Andrew and to Jesse. But I'm not, I just high fades and low fades. And I apologize, but I'm not going to go in an area that I don't want to pretend that I know. So keep an eye on us. We will have, by the way, we're coming out with a clipper. So we will have, be focusing on quite a few, on a lot of men coming up. And we'll focus on some high fades and low fades for you. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Things pop up there. YouTube/Samvia. Go and subscribe now. Hit that little bell and that will be your reminder when we have a live happening. But lots of education on our YouTube. And there's lots there in the archives of our YouTube also. All right, here we go. Here I want to read also. So watch what I'm going to do. See how I take a piece of hair? So I don't just pick it up and say, well, how short do you want on the sides? Now, if I'm going to go scissor over comb, go for it, guys. Take it down to the wood. But if you're going to leave some hair there, I highly recommend just take a moment and read this so you have an idea. And there's going to be all kinds of bends. Yes, there's going to be all kinds of bends, but this gives you an idea of what's your limit in terms of degree of shortness. So I'm going to go right there. So you see, it's not scissor over comb. It's not extremely short, but it's short. I want that hair to have some movement to it. There's my guide up on the top. So you can see my guide. Okay, there it is on the top. Now watch my hand. Okay, look at, if I place that board right to her head, look at the shape of the board. Okay, that's going to be that shape of the angle that I'm still going to do. Watch my comb. See the comb? I'll move my hand. See the comb flat to the head? See that? Boom, right there. That's where I want to be. I'm going to come through. And I like cutting palm to palm. I have a lot more control this way. My next diagonal back section. Now, because I'm working with longer hair, I'm going to grab a clip and I'm just going to clip that back so it stays out of my way. Now, watch this. There's that diagonal section. See the diagonal section? Now, watch me come in and I'm going to take that and I'm going to take that diagonal section. I'm going to go vertical first. Then I'm going to pull this up. Now I'm going to come in and comb and watch. Now, isn't this interesting? I'm going to give this to you here. Okay. Take a look. You can see I have a guide at the top and a guide at the bottom. Okay. Can you see that? So now, instead of me just taking the entire slice at once, I find I'm going to go back there and correct, and I'm leaving. I'm not following my guide. I'm going past my guide. Okay. Watch. Now I take that next section. Okay. And I go after that. Look at the comb vertical. Now I pick this up. Now watch again. I'll give you a back view of it this time. Look how this time, look at how I've got that short piece and that long piece. See that? That's what I love, guys. Now I'm talking about discipline, Andrew. I'm talking about precise here, guys, in terms of this. And by having the subdivide concept, it really helps you to maintain the consistency. And I think that's a lot of times what happens with short hair is we tend to lose the consistency. So you think, well, Sam, that's going to take more time. Diagonal, vertical, comb, back, fold, slide, cut. Did you hear the rhythm? You see I'm not overcombing this? Comb, front, slide, fold, guide, cut. You see? So now watch. Most cases, this is what happens. We take that slice diagonal back. Now, that's such a tall section. Now I'm here. Look at this. I take that entire section, and now I'm trying to look for a guide. And now I start to do this. I change my angle. So by going in, watch this, subdivide vertically. Now pick that up. Now come in and comb, fold, look for the guide. There's the guide. Stop and cut. Okay. Take my next section. Watch the guide. Guide on top, guide down below, slide and cut. See, once you get this, guys, you will get a rhythm. Now, Sam, what about men? Is this a great way to cut men? It's a great way to cut men if they're the type where they want a brush back. You know, if they want that brush back effect, I think this is awesome way to really control men and give them a nice, smooth grain of layering, if you will. Okay. All right. Okay, let's just take a look and see what's happening. You can just see that. Okay. And I'm working to my way back. Look at my sectioning. Just going diagonal back. Diagonal back. I eliminate what I don't need. I comb down. Oops. I eliminate what I don't need. I come in, comb down, natural fall. Now go vertical. Now come back in with the comb vertical and come through. And there's my guide. Okay. Here. See how I'm working with the fine teeth of the comb too. And see how I always slide that to see where is that guide. Okay, so I'm not guessing. I take a section diagonal. I keep my sectioning consistent. Now I come through vertical. Now I pick up. My last combing angle is from underneath. So I force that hair to be where it needs to be, which is elevated horizontally. If my last combing angle is on the top, then I'm going to drop that degree of elevation. Okay. Questions? I have a bad habit, guys. Excuse me. Sometimes, Andrew, I cut past that first knuckle. And I know a lot of people, I get called out on that. But it's just a bad habit I have, guys. Not going to stand in front of you and claim to be perfect. Look how my diagonal line is going past center. So I'm going to cross this and create this X pattern in the center. That's going to remove all that excess weight in that center. Do I work with something longer than a 5.5 or a 5.75 in terms of my shear? Most cases, I like to work with a maximum, maybe 5.75. If I find I'm doing it a little bit longer and texturizing, I might go in with a 6 or a 6.5 or the 6.25. Okay. I mean, remember, we've got so many lengths, and we also have a classical handle now in terms of shears. All right, opposite side. Okay, questions. Let's take a look. All right. Yes, I understand. Hey, Jorge Perez, congratulations on Estetica, Jorge. So proud of you, brother. You do some awesome work. Make sure you follow Jorge Perez. He's on here. We'll put up his handle. Katie will put it up, but I want you to make sure you follow him. All right. All right. Now we go to the opposite side. Now, here's the issue I have with one side to another is the balance. And I don't know about you, Andrew, but getting the same length and getting that balance. So I'll share with you a little trick that's worked for me. So I'm not, it gets me really close. So I'm not spending a lot of time going back and going back and correcting once again and checking that balance. So I just really like to go in and make sure that that's okay. So, all right, let's talk about short hair in terms of clients now, because I'm just repeating myself here in terms of technique and what I did on that opposite side. So same thing. Let's get the guide first. So I'm going to go to the opposite side I just cut here in the front. Okay, watch this. Take a diagonal section. I'm going to pull this section horizontally, measure on the top. I'm going to slide to where I have that length. That's that length for the top. Now I'm going to come back over here. I'm not going to read it this time because I already have a guide. I come back over here. I take a small piece of hair. I place the comb right behind that. See that? And then right where I'm at, all I do is just comb, place a comb there. Boom. See, I just comb out to that. Boom. I trust that and cut it. That's my guide. Now I go diagonal back. Now I can, after I do a couple sections, watch, I'll come back in and I'll check. I'll do a check, but not after I do a couple sections. I'm going to trust this first and cut to that. Okay. Now I go diagonal back. I'll give you a view of that. Okay. I'm going to pin this back and away. Okay. Now I comb that down, natural fall. Now subdivide vertically. And now come back in, fine teeth the comb, and look how I arch back. See, I comb back and up. See, here's the comb, hand. Now elevate up, going back. Look at my hand moving back. As I move back, I bring it up to my guide. There's my guide, trust it, and cut. Okay, my next section. Underneath, notice that combing angle, last combing angle. See how consistent that combing angle is? If there's one tool that's going to get us in trouble, it's called the comb. The comb is what gets us in trouble. What do you mean, Sam? It's because where we comb the hair to. It's where we're standing. And where you stand, you will always comb to the center of your body. So wherever your center of your body is, the comb releases to the center of the body. So be aware where you're standing. Be aware of how you're combing this. Be aware if you're over combing it, meaning you're over combing. So you've got to be aware of that in regards to the comb, the fine teeth of the comb. When do you work with the wide teeth, Sam? I work with the wide teeth, guys, when I'm working with one length hair, my bobs. I work with the fine teeth when I'm layering hair, as I'm doing now. So each fine wide teeth has a specific purpose. I detangle with the wide, I section with the wide, but I might section my comb. It just depends upon density of the hair and what I'm working with. Okay. Now, Sam, could I do this with a pair of texture shears? Sure, you could. Watch how I'm going to take a bob. The bottom of a bob is so structured. How I'm going to soften that and just immediately take out the underneath. And watch, I'll work with a different tool to do that. I think what we have to understand is we have different types of tools to achieve different effects. And we have to understand the type of fabric we're working with. You know, what's the fabric you're working with? This was curly hair. I might have to take this shorter or leave it longer. It will once again depend upon the type of curl, how much texture I'm working with. Okay. So I've always said, you know, just as the fashion designers understand the limits and capabilities of silk, so we must understand the limits and capabilities of fine hair, of coarse hair, of curly hair. So I think people say, well, Sam, if I cut my hair short, I'm only stuck with one look. I think we need to understand short hair. It moves up, it moves down, it moves back, it moves forward, and you can get volume. So I've given you about 4 or 5 different looks there. Forward, back, up, down. Okay. So you've got 4 different ways that you could wear short hair. So I think also what the misconception about short hair, Andrew, is that some people think, well, it's going to be easy. I think, it's a matter of learning how to work with short hair. I think, you have to go in and you have to find yourself, and you need to do that. Learn how to work with short hair. So as a hairdresser, I think it's so important that you are educating your client how to take care of their short hair, how to style, how to finish their short hair. Also, warn the client that, well, if we're going to cut your hair short, it requires more maintenance. What do you mean, Sam? Well, you're going to need to get it trimmed. You're going to get it cut a little bit more often. Instead of me seeing you every 6 to 8, I'm going to want to see you every 4 to 6. Does that make sense, guys? You see? So you've got to let the clients know every little thing about that. If a client comes in and they have long hair like this client did, and she says to me, Sam, cut it short. My suggestion would be, don't take it short and go to a pixie dramatically. It's too much drama. I think there's probably something going on inside there. They got a divorce or they broke up with their boyfriend, and it's called revenge. So I wouldn't suggest that. I want you to go in and be aware of that. Okay. All right. Let's go into the top area. Questions. How are we doing so far? If you're doing good and you're learning.
Doing great, Sammy.
Okay, buddy. Any comments or anything, buddy?
We do have a request for you to show how you took the guide from the other side one more time.
Okay, be happy to do that. And then, Andrew, let's make sure we make a note and at one point do a high fade, low fade class. I think that would be great. Okay. All right, here we go. Watch. I'm going to come to this side. This was the side I cut. All right. So once you can take a section. I like to take a slice. Okay. Then I take my hand just like I'm going to cut it. Now place the comb. Give you a little view here. Place the comb inside of your ring finger, your middle finger, just like that. Now close it. See, it's there. I'll give you even a better view. There. Then what I want to do now is I want to go in and I'm going to hold the comb there and I'm going to slide this out to that length. There's the length. Now slide your thumb and index finger to that length. Now you have the length. Now come over to the opposite side. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing. Take a slice, take your comb, place the comb. There's the length. Okay, so you see, this is a great way I like to go in and I like to measure that length. And then you just tip it. I think also what's great is, I just want to clean up my line. What's great is, I saw a corner here. What's great, Andrew, is the client sees you doing that, this measuring, and they're like, wow, I've never seen anybody be so deliberate about making sure the balance is correct. I think also with short hair, you have to notice that the balance is really important because the balance can get lost and really visible in terms of it being unbalanced. It's very visible to someone that's looking at it. All right. All right. Here we go to the top. All right. Now on the top, what I want to create on the top is I want to create a little bit more length on the top. Now, detaching haircuts is something that's become very popular. I think it's more standard right now. I think it's much more standard in regards to what we're doing it. So it's about, disconnection. It sounds like it might be a kind of like scary. Disconnection might seem like it's more kind of like, my client won't go for that. Okay, remember, we taught them it had to blend, it had to be precise. Then all of a sudden we started teaching our clients, well, let's slice it, let's point cut it. And the reason being is because we discovered that's softer and it's more pliable and easier to work with. So when I'm going to disconnect a haircut, it's so important that we explain to a client why we're going to do that. And the real reason I found that I've detected why to do that is because it makes it much more in terms of simplicity, in terms of ease to style. You're not working with such a blended haircut. When haircuts are blended, they do 2 things. They pull things down. And number 2, if it's not styled properly, the proportion can look off. When you disconnect a haircut, you have more flexibility, more pliability, not as much weight, not as much bulk, easier to maneuver, easier to style and get that proportion correct. All right. So that said, I'm going to softly detach the top from this. Okay. Now, I recommend that we be doing this to our mature clients. If there's anybody that needs to be detached, it's the mature client. Why? Because they're the ones that want all the volume. They're the ones that say, give me the volume. Well, it relates to Victoria Beckham's haircut. The reason her haircut worked, or it looked like it was backcombed to the crown, is because that crown area was detached from the rest of the haircut, meaning it was slightly longer. And because that detachment, when you have that detachment, so if I'm here, okay, and I've got this haircut and I want to detach it, looking for my pen. I'll show it to you in red, okay, up here, okay. So if this is all short here, this is all short underneath, okay. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to bring this length and I'm going to slightly make it longer over that, just slightly longer over that. Then what happens is this volume responds more. It responds more because it's not attached. It's not blended. That's why we were going in and putting short little bits underneath and telling clients, well, the short hair supports the long hair. The short hair didn't necessarily support the long hair. What it did was you took out the bulk of that thickness in the crown area. And therefore, because we took those shorter at the base, it made the hair that was left more airy, and it made it easier for us to finish and get the volume. So detachments. What the point that I'm trying to make is it's standard now. I really find that it's a problem solver, Andrew. I really find that it maximizes movement. It maximizes texture. It maximizes volume. And just by simply detaching. So if you're not detaching your haircuts, highly recommend you jump on board. Remember, maybe you came from the days of roller set thinking you were going to always roller set. Maybe you came from the days of round brushing thinking you're always going to round brush. Maybe you came from the days of precision thinking you're always going to cut precision. I think discipline is really important. Cutting with intent and purpose is really important. But I also think that it's important that you change the way you're doing things because you want different results. If you keep doing things the same way, it's real simple. You're going to continue to get the same results. Okay, so let's just change. So let's take a look at disconnecting the crown in a very soft way. I'm going to bring her lower just so that you can see this top area that I'm working with. Now I'm going to work in radial sections here. Okay, I'm going to work radial because I want this to have a little bit more roundness in this top area here. If I wanted to have a little bit more squareness, I'd work horizontal and be pulling everything back to me. I'm going to leave the front a little bit longer. I'm going to play with that front in terms of really making a French that's frothy and it's got some movement to it. So now let's take a look at profile view and let's go vertical down that center. Okay. And now let's go through and disconnect this top from this. Now look at what I'm going to do. Look at my degree of shortness there. See that shortness? You can see right where that's at, right here. There it is there. Now watch. I'm going to overlap that probably by about 1 inch to 2 inches. So I'm looking to see where's my length. There's my length. I'm going to go about 1 inch to 2 inches longer. Okay. And I'm going to just scan this and point cut this. Okay. And the reason being, once again, as I was just talking about, why cut this blunt when I want this to respond? So I'm not going to cut this blunt. Okay. Then watch how what I'm going to do is I'll change things as I get to that front area. I'll just simply adjust it. And I'm just going to, at some point, I'll be picking up a razor. And watch how I'll use a razor just to enhance my texture inside. Especially with short hair. And when I go in and detach these tops like this, I think it's important that you understand you got to have some texture built inside of this. So I just can't leave this like this with just this rough edge to it. I'm going to go inside of this and kind of melt that inside down to give me a little bit more frothiness. Okay, back view. Okay, using the sectioning tooth of the comb. Notice I'm working with a white comb on dark hair so I can actually see the extension of my line. And I have a little bit more contrast for my tool from the fabric. Okay, continuing to work in radial sections. Continuing to work with the fine teeth of the comb. Why? Because I'm layering. It's going to give me a little bit more tension. Okay. Okay, now I'm not going to be wetting this hair down anymore. I'm just going to start to just allow it to dry naturally. All right, now let's take a look at that. Now, when you take a look at this, what I want you to look at is don't look for the disconnection because you're not going to see it. Okay, and this hair is wet. Okay, but it's just a soft disconnection. I'll pull it out for you vertically in just a moment. Okay, but what I want you to notice is it's disconnected for a reason. So the verbiage would be, let's maximize your volume here by detaching. Notice the word I selected, detaching. And then when this melts over this, it melts over this in more of a line that's soft. It's not a hard line when you see this melting over. If I was to blow dry that straight. All right, now the top area. Sam, if they had some natural texture, any helpful hint in terms of what you might do if they had natural texture? Now in the front, I'm going to go horizontal, over direct back. That's going to give me a lot of length in that front area, which is what I want. So what's going to happen, guys, is when you go through and you have maybe wavy hair, or you have a little bit of curl to it, but it's a soft curl, then that line underneath here, this line, this horseshoe line, I might zigzag that. And I would zigzag that because I want, once again, this detachment to fall very soft. So anytime I want something to fall softer, then I'm going to suggest you simply zigzag it. Okay. And you'll find it's going to fall softer for you. All right. So now take a look. See how I've got all this length in that front area? But what's great is I've got all that volume, but I've got the shortness that I want underneath that. All right, let's go to the opposite side. Okay, questions? I find that funny because my daughter did that when she broke up with her boyfriend. Yeah, true, Jennifer, right? She says, I'll show you, and says, okay, cut it all off. And I don't know, Jennifer, if she was happy she did it or not, but hopefully she got back with her boyfriend. But then again, guys, so I think we just, God, I have the dropsies today in. So I just think that what you need to understand, guys, is this. Get the client long-term. So meaning, if they come in and they say, Sam, I want my hair off and it's long, what I would do is I would suggest, well, let's approach it. Let's go in, let's take it short. Yes, let's take it short, but let's go for her bob first. Let's do something a little bit more bobbish, or let's do a kind of a shag. Let's shag it out. Then let's come back and let's bob that shag out. Then let's go for the pixie. See, that way we change your personality a couple times and you're not stuck with just one look all the way through. Okay. Sonia, member, okay, how long do you cut that top? Sonia's asking. Sonia, member, if you're going to detach something, leave it at least an inch longer. Okay, if you try to leave it maybe a 1/4 inch longer or a half, it's gonna look like a mistake. So I really suggest at least a minimum inch longer than what you have underneath. So I don't want to say to you exactly, Sonia, cut it to an inch or whatever. And the reason being is I want you to have some creative freedom here in terms of this and how it works. Okay, so I don't want to give you exact length, but leave it longer than what you have underneath and you're going to be fine. All right, now look how simple this was. And now look at all the length that I have in that top area. Now this is where I could go in and I could say, okay, let's take this top area and let's put a fringe into it. Let's work it side to side. Do whatever it is that you want to do in this top area. Now watch this. Okay, let's just comb this down. And I could certainly have taken that top area even much shorter, guys. Okay, now watch. So now let's just give her a center part and then look how that can go into this bob shape. Okay, I'll show it to you. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to dry it, guys. I just want you to see this. But look at how this can go into this bob shape here. Okay. So there's just so much you could do. I could, once again, take that fringe off, leave it on. I kind of like now, we've been doing these fringes for so long, these curtain fringes. I kind of like it just having some length to it in terms of that and what it's doing. Okay. Questions? Did you learn something today? If you learned something today, I want you to put in the chat box. What are you walking away with? What's your big learning curve? What did you learn today? That's what I'd like you to do. All right, last thing now. While
Sammy, so you're taking for that front, you're taking sections across the top of the head and over directing. Are you over directing that back to the crown?
Great question, AC. Here's what we did. Here's the top. Okay, here we went radial. Okay, good job, buddy. And then what we did was here we came horizontal. And we over directed back to that line. Okay, so now up, and then my last one was here. Now everything back to that. Up, up, up. Now everything back to that. Okay. Does that help you out, AC, in regards to that? Okay.
Perfection.
All right, brother. Then the last thing, AC, is the 14 tooth. I'm just going to use the 14 tooth, and it's a 14 tooth point cutting shear. So it's going to save me that time of going in there and really point cutting. Like, now look how deep I'm going into this front. Okay. And what I love about this, guys, is it really, once again, get in here, get to where you need to be, then come back in and readjust when you need to readjust. Just come back in and start readjusting. And when you readjust, remember, texture is all visual and feel. There's just no way, Andrew, that I can cross-check texture. So when I cut texture, I put my hands in it. I feel that texture and really get that texture where I want. Okay. Other side, coming through. But 14 tooth tool, 14 tooth shear, the point cutting shear is a magical tool in terms of what it's doing. I've seen Jesse Linares, one of our team members. He comes in and I've seen him do a whole haircut with it in regards to that. We'll actually take his length and then gradually work out as he's cutting so that he gets his length, but gets that edge in there that he wants. I think that's fantastic. All right. All right, guys. So let's see what we got in the chat box. All right. You're welcome. Thank you, Karen. You're welcome. Kendra, diagonal vertical sections. You're welcome, Kendra. Kelly, you're welcome. Sonia, Andrew, screenshot, please, Andrew. Kathy, I learned about sectioning behind the ear to eliminate a hole behind the ear. Yeah, Kathy, it's amazing how that's so important that you really get that. All right. Sonia, you want a screenshot of the flip chart? Go ahead and take that. Trying to. Okay, there we go. Okay, got a screenshot. All right, excellent. All right, so now a couple things, guys, key things. Number one, the shorter you take hair, the more growth pattern takes over. Number two, make sure you consult when you're talking about short hair. What's short hair mean to the client? The longer you leave it, the more gravity and the more weight takes over. Remember, disconnecting in short hair, I think, is an absolute must personally in regards to getting the response and getting the longevity that you want of a haircut. Remember, set the client up in maintenance. Short haircuts require maintenance and more. Remember, it's more than one finish. You can take it up, down, forward, or back. Hope you guys enjoyed today. A pleasure and a joy, guys. And don't forget, follow us on IG. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to turn you back to our man, Andrew. Beautiful to see you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Sammy. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, another great day of education and more to come for you this week. And remember, if you missed anything from today or yesterday on Mannequin Monday, you can always come back and rewatch on the YouTube and Facebook channels. Tomorrow, join us for Instagram Live with Lindsay Olson. She's going to be sharing some laced up short styling techniques with you. Also, tomorrow on the YouTube and Facebook channel right back here, you can come back and join us for a discussion with Rachel Heil about giving back to beauty, which is going to be really fantastic. And then on the 19th, we have day to night upstyling, again, over on the Instagram channel. That's with Twyla Jane. If you are going to be at America's Beauty Show, September 11th through the 13th, make sure you come by and say hello to Sammy and Jesse Linares. We've got Al Campbell, Twyla Jane, and Evie Peterson joining us. So going to be a great weekend of education at ABS. So thank you all so much for watching. We will see you the rest of the week for more education. Have a great day.